What is the purpose of art? Of course, there does not have to be any purpose to it. Like life, it just is. Nevertheless, for the present discussion I will suggest four purposes. To express the mysterious, imaginative, non-rational aspect of life. To produce a shared set of values to help create a decent, cohesive society. To make us think. To heal and elevate our souls. In this video we will compare the Christian and the atheist contributions to art. How have these contributions shaped us? Even among atheists I have not met many who deny this aspect exists, although I have not heard any of them give a coherent explanation of it. Some things cannot be captured by words, but they can be expressed by music, perhaps the most ethereal of the arts. Isn't it strange how variations in air particles can have such profound effects on us? Why does a minor key produce feelings of sadness or longing? Why does an augmented chord produce a dreamlike state? Surely the music of Western civilization ranks as one of the finest contributions to world art. It was made possible by the development of the music notation system. As with so many things discussed in this series, it was developed by Christian monks in the 9th and 10th centuries. They wanted to find a way to write their music clearly so it could be taken to different places and repeated. The music notation system allowed the development of longer and more complex pieces, which fed into Renaissance music and later into the Baroque and classical styles. The range of human feelings expressed by Western classical music can hardly be comprehended. And surely it was more than just an expression of what already existed. The boundaries of the human soul were pushed into new territories. We were immeasurably enriched and lifted beyond the confines of our narrow selves. In the face of such an expression of the human soul, the materialist viewpoint is comprehensively demolished. Can one still insist that life is mere lumps of matter? By contemplating rich harmonic textures, we are led to contemplate the harmony of the cosmos. We see that just as the orchestra requires a conductor, so does the universe. It is no coincidence that dissonance developed alongside atheism in the 20th century. Ironically, one can only have dissonance when harmony is understood. Like evil, from the Christian viewpoint, it does not have its own concrete existence. It is merely a perversion of the good. Dissonance is always a departure from harmony, a corruption of perfection. And a society which listens to harmony will be influenced in that direction, whereas a society which is immersed in dissonance will lead that way. This takes us nicely to our next purpose. The construction of the great Gothic cathedrals reflected the unified vision which we once shared, and reinforces that vision. It brought people together. The sheer effort of constructing these buildings is almost beyond comprehension. Tens of thousands of people, over a century or more, dedicating their lives to erecting a building worthy of God, which most of them would never live to see completed. Huge blocks of stone, lovingly carved by hand, heaved hundreds of feet up perilous wooden scaffolding. It must have seemed miraculous to those shuffling about their tiny wooden hovels. And for all our wealth and technology, we have not produced anything remotely as inspiring. Consider socialist or British brutalist architecture. Whereas the cathedrals soar upwards to the heavens, such buildings bring us down with a crash. The spiritual is rejected for the material. Socialist art often crushed personal expression, but other forms of atheist art go to the opposite extreme and consider only the personal rather than the collective. Tracy Emin's art installation of her untidy bed expressed the fragmentation of our civilization very well. Its appeal to the modern mind was such that it raised £2.5 million at auction. Emin's work certainly got people thinking, which is always good. Art should give us new perspectives, open our minds, take us to new places. The 19th and 20th centuries saw a huge volume of literature which sought to challenge the prevailing orthodoxy. Nietzsche, Sartre, Camus, Brecht, Kafka, Joyce, Woolf. But what was offered in place of the ancient faith? It is an easy thing to make people think by sowing chaos. It is quite another thing to elevate minds to a high level, to offer genuine insights into life, insights which nourish a civilization. It is easy to destroy, difficult to create. From the Christian perspective, this is the highest purpose of art, and yet atheist art does not strive for this at all, quite the opposite. On reading atheist literature, one is more likely to feel weighed down than elevated. We are told that we must sacrifice the beauty of faith for the truth of atheism. And yet, no truth is offered, only the nightmare vision of Macbeth. Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Funny how one line from the medieval master placed in the mouth of a murderer captures the thrust of modern literature, several centuries before the event. If you prefer to turn your gaze heavenward, take time to look at some of the sculpted figures of the Gothic cathedrals, or the religious paintings of the 13th century. Something remarkable and quite new has been achieved in the faces. A purity of expression, an insight into another world. Religious icons are sometimes called windows to heaven. Which other art has depicted such an elevated condition of the human soul, drawn out of itself onto an entirely new plane? And the souls of the holy faces seep into and purify our consciousness, both as individuals and as a civilization. We become richer persons, and we come together with a shared vision. To conclude, the Victorian writer John Ruskin said, "If you really want to understand a civilization, study its art. Art is a manifestation of our inner lives." Christian civilization produced an incredible outpouring of art over many centuries. Innovative, insightful, inspiring, elevating. This art shaped us profoundly and made us who we are today. It is no coincidence that as Christianity has been in decline, so has the quality of our art. It reads less as a calling to a wondrous new world and more as a funeral lament. But let us not despair. Let us look to our final video, where all we have seen in the series will come together.